Welcome to Sisu and Slay, a podcast where we untangle and make sense of how you can navigate Finland as an international professional through stories of building aligned career paths, successful integration, and experts who can give you a peek behind the structures of Finnish life and work. And today we're pulling back the curtain on something a lot of internationals are navigating right now. What does customer-facing work actually look like in Finland, and how do you break into it, especially at a startup? And is it even a safe career bet currently with AI on the rise? A hot topic. And here to help us dig into all of this is Philip Ziegler, founding customer lead at Xero. Welcome and thank you for joining us, Philip.
Great to be here.
Amazing to have you. But before we dig into this topic of today, let's get the recap of how you got into this customer-facing roles. So can you tell us where your career started and how did you eventually end up as a founding customer lead?
So I came to Finland in 2019. I was supposed to stay here for 1 year to finish my master's. But that was exactly the year that COVID hit. So my year abroad was just me sitting in a dormitory writing my master thesis. And when the year was over, I was like, okay, I want to spend a bit more time in Finland, maybe find a job, just see how it goes. And I studied something in the area of business analytics and supply chain management. And there was this company called Sievo who did procurement analytics. I was like, okay, that's good enough. I'm going to send an application. This was the first application I wrote.
Yeah.
I did get the job, which was not what I expected.
Wow.
What I also did not expect was that the job that I got ended up being a lot more junior than I was hoping for. It was something related to data labeling and process management. But a few months into the job, they figured out, okay, this is a guy who likes to talk. You can put him in front of customers. And I was happy to get out of that junior job. So I was like, okay, make me a customer success manager. And turns out this was a pretty good decision for myself. Because I've really enjoyed since working at this intersection between helping a customer solve a problem, but also translating that into a requirement for a product and the developers.
Yeah, so you kind of fell into it.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes yapping pays off. I love that. Amazing. And when you look back now, I guess we kind of already got a little bit of an answer that you didn't necessarily know that you always wanted to had this vision of I want to work in the customer interface, but maybe something that you then built within your role in Sievo.
Yeah, I didn't really have a career path planned or anything. I've always followed my gut feeling, and I've always been drawn towards job where I feel I can learn something new there. Yeah. And then in this customer-facing work, I really like this cycle of customer brings you a problem, you talk to them, you get to the root cause, you figure out what is the real problem. Usually it's not what the customer says is the problem, it's something else. Surprise, surprise. Then I've since stayed in that lane, so doing customer-facing work with a fairly technical background, but I've gone into smaller and smaller companies, and that is what eventually led me to Xero, where I joined as one of the first people. I think I was employee number 4 in total, and now the job is still titled founding customer lead, but it's a mix of sales, customer support. Yeah. A little bit of development and product management as well now. We'll go into that later, I think.
Yeah.
But the core is always the same, helping customers solve an actual problem.
It's still at the core of the role.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Love that. And as you said, Xero, you've been going smaller and smaller and smaller. And Xero definitely is a small team by most definitions. And for people who are maybe used to applying for larger organizations, what does it actually mean from the company perspective to hire a new person, and what does it take from the candidate to be considered for a role at a startup of your size? Because the consideration becomes pretty different when it's a startup opposed to something that's been running for years.
Yeah, so we're a team of 10 now, and I've been since we were basically a total of 4. And if you're that early stage, every single hire is high risk. Like you don't have infinite runway or funding. So you're operating under a lot of financial pressure, under a lot of time pressure as well. So one bad hire can be really expensive, not only in terms of like the salary that you pay, but in terms of like the time that you spend in working with that person. Also, if a team is that small, a single bad hire can really like mess up the team dynamic. So you really want to make sure that whoever joins the team is really aligned. And if you hire at this stage, you hire not because you want to, for the sake of hiring. You hire because you have a very concrete problem that needs to be addressed, and you feel like no one else in the team can address that. So oftentimes you just have a very vague idea of what that role is supposed to do.
Yeah.
But you need to leave the conversation with the candidate feeling like, okay, they can bring something to this team that no one else can bring to the team right now. So like in Zero right now, when we hire someone, we make sure that they talk to everyone in the team, and everyone at the end of this process needs to say, hell yeah. Not just like, yes-ish, but it needs to be like a hell yeah from everyone before we go ahead.
Yeah, and it's because like it's such a big financial risk, but also the like risk on the team. Like, what would be the like kind of on this note of like risky hiring and like big impact? I think this is like one of the angles that people often like don't really get to see. But like when the team works really well together, like yes, like you make things happen. But then as a startup, you're kind of trying to survive. And so, but like when you go into these situations, like or interviews, as you said, and like everyone has to say hell yeah, and like there might be like even a little bit of a vague idea of like, well, you know, we have kind of an image. But there's a little bit of wiggle room, probably. How do you fill that wiggle room as a candidate? Like, ideally, do you have any takes on that? Like, what you've seen maybe in interviews, or what you have brought in interviews, and then you've noticed that, oh, this really resonated. I did not foresee that.
Yeah, I think like a good rule of thumb is if you leave the interview feeling, oh, I learned something today. Like I have 2 favorite questions to ask in interviews, and one of them is just teach me something. And the more creative someone gets in like teaching me something, the more I enjoy it.
Fantastic. Can you name any like favorites of like things you have learned? You can name just topic. You don't have to tell the whole story if you don't want to.
Yeah, like how to do ice fishing.
Oh damn, that's so cool! I don't actually know how to do that. Well, I think you like drill a hole and then you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic. And now I feel like I need to actually think about like something to teach. I could teach you ice skating though.
Oh, okay, that's good.
That's a skill. I can teach you to skate backwards. I think this is something
That's something I've never figured out. I can go forward, but I can't go backwards.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people do this. But yeah, on continuing with the theme of like kind of interviewing and so on, a lot of the times what we see in the startup ecosystem is that an application alone isn't necessarily enough to get through the door, especially because Finland tends to be a pretty high trust environment, and then there's like the added financial risk and the like risk on the team and the like culture and like the entire dynamic of this like incredibly tight-knit environment. So how do you recommend people to kind of get around to like find opportunities in startups? Is it like networking? Is it like building proof of your expertise in a public stage of some kind? Or maybe it's something entirely else?
Yeah, no, this is not a very nice thing to hear, but I think that like network is the biggest thing, at least in the Finnish tech scene. That definitely reflects my experience and also the experience that other of my international friends have made. I always feel a bit guilty when I say it, but this very first application that I sent in Finland was my last application that I sent. Wow! Yeah, I've since always been lucky to get introductions or get to the interview stage through either like someone recommending me or knowing someone. And you have to see it from that perspective. So we said that like hiring someone in like an early stage startup is high risk. So you want to make sure that there's someone who's vouching for them, someone who's trusting their work. So in my own case, for example, I think like my second job I got because some colleagues of mine mentioned that I might be a good fit. And the hiring manager then reached out to me. And that same hiring manager then also went on to become one of the founders of Xero.
Oh!
I didn't get to skip the hiring process at Xero, but at least I got a foot in the door because they knew, okay, this is Philip, these are his strengths, these are his weaknesses, this is what we're getting into if we decide to go with that guy. And just having that kind of predictability makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, that's a hot take. Like, you only had to apply once and then it's been like rolling ever since.
Yeah.
But is it like that you kind of like always find the kind of like next doorknob, or like if you're like think about this like as mountain climbing or something, you have to like clip to the next whatever you call it, this like clippy thingy. So you clip to the next one and you clip to the next one and ultimately like you get upwards. But like, how has it been for you? Like, are you like, have you been able to just like build this like trust always like at the next role and then get a new referral kind of, and a next role and a new referral? Or has there been something extra you've done in addition to your day job that has like helped you really build your networks and that kind of trust?
Probably also a hot take, but I haven't been that big on like going to networking events or posting on LinkedIn. I've started posting a little bit recently, but I think it's really been like just people who have seen my work or have worked with me who've then like recommended me. So it's not been actually much beyond that, in honesty.
No, but that's a great angle to hear. We do talk a lot about LinkedIn and building your proof in public, but of course it's a different path if you get the opportunity to like kind of like allow people to build that trust with you in practice.
Exactly.
So that's been your path then. That's amazing. I love that you don't have to send applications because like, honestly, who loves that anyways? Yeah. But hey, now that you've been part of building a team from the ground up as the hire number 4, what's different in your experience between startup culture and what you'd expect at a more established company, and how should candidates calibrate their like maybe expectations if they're looking to get into a startup specifically?
Yeah. Well, startup is a quite broad category. I think like the term is used for anything from 0 to like 200 employees.
Right.
So I'll maybe reflect a bit on like situations where the company is still very early stage and under 20 people. I would say that no matter how cool it looks from the outside, like the early days are not glamorous at all. Like it's a lot, let me phrase it like this. So this might be a bit of a hard truth, but like good culture in a company is often a consequence of having good business. So when you don't constantly have to think about, okay, will we close the next deal? Will we get the next funding round? It's a lot easier to establish like very, healthy work culture. So if you get into a startup, you should be aware that there's going to be a lot more chaos. There's going to be less clear processes. You will constantly face the feeling that there's way more to do than you can do, and you need to be comfortable with that. There will be no one holding your hand or tutoring you. You can, of course, ask for feedback, but there's no clear feedback process in place. So you either need to already be very confident about what you can do, or be very confident that you can figure it out along the way. And I know that's not for everyone. But if it is for you, you are rewarded with this incredible flexibility, the availability to do crazy things that you couldn't do in a normal company. So it's really about whether this is the type of work for you.
How do you think, as someone who started, I think Sievo is a little bit more of an established company.
Definitely.
So quite a different operating environment from Xero. So how did you build the confidence or understanding that you want to go smaller? Can you walk us a little bit through that process of how you figured out that, oh, actually I want to go more towards a startup environment? And then in the end, did you end up just building the confidence through seniority and you're I know my stuff? Or was there some point where you were like, I'm actually pretty good at figuring things out, I'm sure. Like the Delulu is the Solulu. Like, can you share a little bit about that path?
There's a good amount of delusion there, but in my case, I've literally went I think I went from 200 people down to 30 people, then back up to 60 people, like growing the company, and then now going back to a team of 10. So it's like step by step thinking, okay, this is how these decisions that were made in the past lead you to, and then building that like kind of confidence. Okay, if I were in that position, I would probably take this decision.
Right.
And then like just building that confidence step by step by going smaller. I would not recommend your first job to be in a startup that early.
Oh my goodness, I love this take. And is that because it's like maybe in retrospect or in hindsight, you see that it's more helpful to build that confidence first and then go into the deep end?
Absolutely. Like you need to be very at ease with yourself. You need to have like a healthy level of confidence.
Yeah.
And also be able to dissociate from work like a healthy amount.
You're like, I'm leaving this behind. This door is closing for the weekend.
Well, yeah, weekend is that's relative. Negotiable, but okay. Well, I don't know. Like, at the same time, you have like founders in Stockholm who start building their company at like 20 years old, and the rules are completely different there. And like right now, all of the rules are being challenged. So might be what I'm sharing right now is already outdated information by the time that this podcast comes out.
Might be obsolete. No, but I think that's really interesting, actually, as advice as well, because I think there's a lot of, in Helsinki especially, where we are currently filming this episode, there is also a very a prolific, I think, like student entrepreneurship society scene. So I think it's like an interesting perspective to look through. But what do you think is the most helpful thing in navigating this uncertainty? Or how can you stress test yourself before getting into this an actual startup to see if can I handle this level of unhinged chaos? Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice for that?
Well, I've never worked in Slush myself, but I've heard that that's a quite good environment to test it out and get the boots on the ground.
Yeah. Let's jump into making your skills visible and how do you build proof for yourself, because trust comes usually from proof. Like you said, in your own journey, people were able to kind of see you in action, and then they were like, oh, this is Philip. Philip is strong in these things, less strong in these things, but overall, the effect is kind of he's great at something and we should hire him to do that something. Mm-hmm. So we all know that designers have a portfolio, it's kind of obvious. Developers have a GitHub, also kind of industry standard. You're a developer, you have a GitHub. But what's the equivalent for someone in customer success or customer facing roles? How do you actually show your work?
Yeah, that's a bit of a tough one. If you work in a more established environment, you will have metrics, you will have your sales quota, you would be able to talk about your net revenue retention and how that compares to maybe the industry average. But for hiring someone in a very early stage environment, I don't think these metrics necessarily apply. Yeah. I think some of them are inherently flawed, but they don't have that strong of a signal for us to make a decision. So I'm not that interested in the raw numbers or the metrics, but what I'm interested in is someone able to solve a problem. Are they able to identify something like a problem in real life and then turn that into a solution that works? And that's the reason that my other favorite question in interviews is, tell me about the last time you found something that was broken and then you fixed it. And I think a good thing is that we live in these crazy times where that's easier than ever to showcase, because everyone is vibe coding now. You can download Claude Code or Codex and get started just picking something from your real life and turn that into a challenge for yourself to solve. If you don't know where to start, just ask it where to start. It will figure it out. Yeah. And that's a great way for you, I don't know, if you build your own app, to just showcase your problem-solving skills.
Yeah. So, like, if you were in an interview and someone was like, "Oh, I built this app," like, do you have to become a builder in the like kind of concrete sense of the word yourself, or is there something else that can be like valuable in this sense that you know, I problem solved this type of a situation because we're in customer success, but do you have to become a software developer a little bit in customer success these days?
Not necessarily a software developer, but someone who is able to really get to the bottom of a problem and then figure out that it can be solved. So I'll give you an example. So one of our founders at Zero, the non-technical founder, he started going to the gym again more regularly. And he was annoyed that he has to keep track of, okay, this is how much I benched or how much I squatted.
Yeah.
This is how much I'm supposed to squat.
Yeah.
And he built himself an app. It's like a gym coach app.
Okay.
He's not a coder. He didn't write a single line of code. He just invested a couple of weekends figuring out how to do that. No, not the coding, but just prompting. I want a coach that understands my goals, who puts a training plan together for me. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to be like a problem like world hunger that you need to solve. But it can be something quite trivial. I mean, you can even start with your hobbies.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent here. It's gonna be quite nerdy. I know you appreciate the nerdy stuff. But some friends of mine and I, we play Dungeons and Dragons once a week. So for those people who have never played like a tabletop role-playing game, it's basically the instructor presents like a scenario. You are 4 adventurers. You're about to enter like a dark cave. What do you want to do? Who do you want to talk to? Super nerdy shit.
I love it.
But it gets quite complicated if you're the instructor. Because you need to keep track of what has happened in the past, what kind of non-player characters have they talked to, what has happened. And once you start thinking in terms of, okay, this is solvable by AI, you just see so many opportunities. So what I built for myself is it's basically every single session that we have gets recorded on Discord. I just asked Claude, hey, give me like a easy like bot that can record these sessions. Good. Then it suggested here's a model that you can install on your laptop that can transcribe these sessions. Then I told it write a Python script to stitch those together, and then I have like a full transcript of every single session. And then I told it I want you to build me like a wiki or like a database of all of the people the players have interacted with. So if at any point they want to meet them again, I can look up, okay, what has happened there in the past.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there was Greg the Goblin. Yeah. And you could be like, okay, Greg, who was Greg again?
Exactly. So I would never like use it to just like automate the ideation, but for like automating all of this like very like laborsome like tracking work, I think it's a great tool. And like usually during like interviews, if someone can just showcase, hey, I know this is a solvable problem. Right. We can build a system around this. That's something we value a lot.
Yeah. So when I kind of like listen to you like walking through this journey and how you kind of like took these different steps, it's not actually like in the end when we talk about like, you know, proving or like building or showcasing your problem solving skills, it is less about the what and more about the how, the like process, like what is your thinking, like how do you approach something. But this just like gives like a very I don't know, like concrete stage for you to perform this act of problem solving, I guess. Does that make sense?
I mean, it's a way to showcase that you can think creatively about solving a problem. That basically that you can figure things out.
And it's like less abstract. With like a real life case.
Exactly. And like the more like crazy the case is, the more fun it is. Like,
I mean, oh my goodness! Like this is probably like one of my favorites of like recent vibe coded solutions I've heard of. That's super cool. Hey, kind of continuing from this similar note, because now I've kind of like, you know what? I have learned new things about you, and my image of you has become slightly different and more complete. I was not aware of this like nerdy dimension, but it's super fun. Has there been any particular moment that you remember, either from your own job search or from reviewing or like interviewing candidates, where someone's approach completely reframed how you thought about them? Probably in a positive way, but like a negative way also, like anonymously, of course.
We did recently hire a chief of staff. It was also a quite vague role definition. We just said, hey, we need someone to help us focus on the things that matter.
Yes.
And we got like a referral from someone who had done a similar job at a company before. Met them for lunch, was like, okay, yeah, like nice guy, there's potential.
Yeah.
But the real hell yes moment was when we actually like invited him to our office to work on a case. And the case was very simple. We just said, hey, we need to send out these updates to investors every single month.
Yes.
We want to automate that. Here's a Xero account. Here is, so Xero is the own CRM that we're using. So there's data about like how our business is going.
Yeah.
Here's an API key.
Yeah.
Figure out how we automate that. You have 4 hours. In 4 hours, you get to present.
Okay.
And this is someone who doesn't have like a technical background, but he has like vibe coded a little bit in the past.
Yeah.
And within those short time span, he has been able to build basically like a system in Claude that just pulls out the data from all of the relevant sources. It drafts like a summary of what it wants to write, sends that to Slack, asks everyone to give feedback, then turns that feedback into a refined draft. It creates like a nice looking visuals from the data that it has. It goes through our GitHub to just check like what is the latest things that we shipped, to include that as well in the update. And I mean, it sounds pretty insane that someone with like no prior knowledge was able to build this in such a short time, but it's really just this like
wow.
He's a great candidate. There's absolutely a reason that we went with him, but I think it also shows how much is possible if you just know what is possible, and in order to learn what is possible, just get started like trying things out.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the great challenges of today with AI is like to even like keep up with, you know, what is possible. At least I don't know about you, but every week I'm like, wait, that's possible? Like I had no clue. Do you have any favorite sources that you like to keep up with when it comes to like latest developments in like AI?
Well, unfortunately, I have to say that like usually LinkedIn is actually a pretty good source. There's a lot of there's a lot of, when we talk about knowledge work specifically, you need to be a bit careful because there's a lot of people just promoting like their own stuff. So you take everything with a grain of salt. If you want like a more maybe grounded approach, there's local communities. I think at least in Helsinki here there's a Claude Code community. They had like an event on Monday also of using like Claude Code for or Claude Cowork for knowledge work. So there are spaces like this, but most importantly, just ask the tool itself like what you can do. Like at this event, there was she was a UX designer. She was speaking about like how she's built herself like a business coach, a website, and a newsletter engine just by literally talking into her phone, like, teach me how I built this, and then do it.
Ooh, I love that prompt. Teach me how to do this. Oh, I love that. Hot tip. Let's address the thing that everyone in customer facing, also customer success, but like customer facing roles are probably wondering about. Like, is this field safe from AI? What's your honest take on what AI will and won't replace in customer facing work? Because we're hearing like, you know, and we have some examples already of like, for example, customer support teams getting like scaled down with that, because AI can take on some like repetitive work and so on. But like, what's like, how do you see this personally?
Well, I would lie if I said that I'm like fully optimistic. Like one day I'm buzzing with excitement about what's possible. The other day I'm thinking, okay, we're at the brink of society collapsing. It's intense times. And what I'm definitely seeing is that you can get a lot more things done with a lot smaller teams. So things that wouldn't have been possible before, because so much of the let's say it like boring work is just easy to automate. So I have like lots of agents set up, for example, that remind me, hey, here is a conversation that you need to move forward. Here is a customer who hasn't used the product in 2 weeks. Send them an email. Here's an email I drafted for you. And it's basically possible to supercharge one individual's work with that. That being said, we don't know yet what kind of new jobs might emerge out of this. Currently, all of the SaaS stocks are plummeting. Everyone's talking about the SaaS apocalypse. So it's definitely not as safe of a bet as it maybe used to be. But I do believe that this very, what's at the core, this ability to really understand what is the problem that we're solving for this customer, that this will remain relevant throughout.
Yeah. So that's going to be the thing where like a human is actually needed to understand the layers and the nuance in like decoding. And
even if it's just about like the ability to sit in a room with someone, because I think everyone who has worked in customer success or like in a customer facing role in sales knows that there's a unique quality to the kind of conversations that you have when you're in the same room. I'm not sure if it's like our monkey brains like just doing something, but it's not the same thing talking over a webcam to compare to just sitting in the same room and talking. Like once you've shaken hands in person, it's a completely different relationship. And I think that's something that's very
Have we ever shaken hands, Philip?
We should.
Yeah. Amazing. Done. Check that off the list. A quick thing to maybe like start closing down this theme of like, will AI take over? What should people in customer facing roles be like playing with when it's like AI tooling? Because we've talked about the importance of getting tech savvy, exploring tools, actually building things, even when you're non-technical. But like, for example, from your own experience, like what would you say like people should get on board with or like try out?
I would say, well, it's probably a low-hanging fruit at this stage, but like use Claude Code or Codex, specifically code, not co-work, not the chat.
Actually looking at the code.
Yeah, more like it has to do a little bit with performance, but also the fact that you can run it in an IDE. So you actually see what kind of files is it writing, what is it doing. That helps you reframe a lot how you think about systems.
Yeah. So understand like how things are built, the architecture.
Understanding, okay, it has context in this folder, it has context in this subfolder, and when I'm asking it to do this task, instead of just reading everything, it goes to this specific place where it needs to pull the data from. So that's probably the one thing.
Like learning with it.
Yeah.
While you build. Yeah. Ideally, like you already kind of tapped into this when we talked about your chief of staff, that ideally customer insight feeds directly into product development. How are you seeing that play out at Xero with how you use AI, and what does it mean for the value a really great customer success person brings?
Yeah, I think like honestly, I think customer facing people can make a huge difference because, I mean, at Xero, now we're even at a point where pretty much everyone has their own vibe coding setup. Sometimes when I write something that I'm very proud of, when I vibe code something that I'm proud of, I show it to the senior developers. I know that there's like a small thing in the project that annoys me, and I get so frustrated. I'm like, okay, let me just fix that. And if it's really good, and a senior developer says this is fine, then it actually makes it into production.
Wow.
That is not meant to say that everyone should like vibe code or everyone should code, but I think it shows that like the raw like coding is not really the bottleneck anymore. So all the more important it becomes like, what do you pick up, and do you find like tasteful long-term solutions for it? So customer-facing people who talk to customers every single day, who get exposed to all of the small details that matter in making something work end to end are all the more important, I believe.
Oh, how do you make sure that, like, because humans are really great at pattern recognition as well. I mean, AI is incredible, but like the thing about AI is that it needs to get the context from somewhere.
Yeah.
Before it can do an analysis for you. So when you, as a human, you're like on a call or something, like, do you run the like transcript through AI, or like, how do you make sure that you're picking up exactly those like small signals or things that you're like, oh, there's something there?
Yeah, now we get into the point where it's going to be a bit depressing again. So pretty much every single call that I have gets transcribed.
Yes.
Transcribed.
Yeah.
So after that, you can just, like, I send those to our CRM, then it automatically turns it into action items. You can then technically just ping an agent on Slack also to say, hey, go through this and create like tickets in our ticketing system for this directly, so we have that captured. If it's an in-person meeting, if I just meet someone for lunch or something and I want to quickly like jot down some thoughts after, I can just talk into my phone and say like, write this to Slack or write this to the notes on this customer. And then, if it's a very small thing, by now you can even just like tag a bot on Slack, and it will just like start doing the work and just sends you the result of like, it's scary.
Scary good. Yeah, no, that's so interesting. And I love how like so much of this, like when you think about like vibe coding and everything, like people probably think that somebody's like behind a laptop, and so much of this is like actually like, you know, just like you talking things out, and but like just the importance of like AI is a great tool, but then like the context needs to come from somewhere.
And it has gotten better and better at collecting that context. So I think the real shift that has happened in like the last 3 months is more that there's now more tools that have understood we need to build with agentic interaction in mind. So lots of tools are releasing MCPs now, which is basically just a way for an agent to say, hey, give me that data that's relevant for me, and then it pulls that out. So I think that's the fundamental shift we've seen, that just everyone understands now what's possible.
Interesting insight. We will take that. Hey, let's start to wrap up. Now, if our listeners were to remember just one thing, maybe 3 tops, if you want to mention multiple, from today's episode, what would you want those to be? What would you like them to walk away with from this conversation?
Start vibe coding and building, even if it's just for fun. It's going to teach you like a few skills, and someone who has these skills with the help of AI is much, much more powerful right now than someone without. It's not too late to start doing these things, by no means. Again, as I mentioned, there's lots of people talking on LinkedIn what they've done, but it's not too late. Just start having fun building something or solving a problem.
Yeah, I love that. Don't get overrun with the FOMO. The ship has not sailed. Get on it. All right, awesome. Would that also be a one small step that you would encourage people to take this week? Maybe to start building something?
Build something and figure out how to put it on GitHub. I think that's...
Ooh, okay, I love it. Yes, build it and also make sure it's...
Showcase it, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Not just build it, but learn how to showcase it.
Oh, I love that. I actually, a tiny story. My very first vibe-coded project, I built locally with Cursor. Then my laptop ran out of space, and I deleted on a whim a whole bunch of different folders that I was like, these are like trash. And there went my first vibe-coded project, and it was not on GitHub. So hot take, not even a hot take, very warm take.
I know it's I don't know, as someone who doesn't come from a coding background, I was super scared the first time like the terminal was there. Or I didn't understand what are all of these GitHub things, merge, push, origin, what the hell, I don't understand it. But you need, how do I say, there's no excuse. You can literally just ask whatever tool you're using, hey, explain this to me like I'm 5, and it will do that.
Oh, I love the Eli 5 prompt. I use it so much. Hey, and finally, where can people find you if they want to follow your work or reach out then? Like maybe there was some insight that they're like, oh my goodness, that's really interesting. You can do that with Zero. Like where do they find you?
Well, if you want to learn more about Zero, you can go to zero.inc and book a demo with me. But if you want, you can also reach out on LinkedIn. I don't post that much there, but just shoot over a message. And if you want to spar or have some idea, like I'm happy to grab lunch or have a coffee just to talk over stuff.
Awesome. Now, thank you so much for your time and insights and honesty, Philip. It's been a pleasure. And for our listeners, next time on Sisu and Slay, we'll be back with more stories from people who are making it work in Finland as international professionals and more industry insights and like what the heck is happening with AI and like the revolution of working life in general also. But until then, I hope you are well and thank you for listening and tuning in, and we will see you next time.